Okay, okay. So welcome to our last technical. We might have some extra workshop, some extra something, but for our Dev AI community, this is our last one. And we're going to be doing an AMA, or really an Ask Us Anything. So it really should be AUA,
Right.
about AI specifically, but also, it applies to a lot of different topics, anything that people have questions about. And so again, there's our tags for David's tag on Discord and mine. If after this you still have questions or you think of anything, and yeah, let's
Well, let's get started. Ask away.
ask
Any
away.
questions you have, any questions you might have in the future, put it in the chat or speak them out now.
What is AI?
What is it?
What is AI? Oof.
Yeah.
You want the truth? It's just a bunch of math.
Hey, don't take the magic word.
So it was intentionally open-ended to kind of see where you go with it.
Yeah. So I guess like David said, so you could look at it as just a bunch of mathematics, but AI really is trying to find a way to automate well, there's a lot of different definitions, but a way to automate tasks that we do as humans by computers.
Yeah, like identification or predicting.
Okay, so all right. Think of like a plant with like machines that maybe fill up like Coke bottles, let's say. That's something that a human would otherwise do, but a machine is doing that. But yeah, I mean, we consider that AI. Like, let's say like something that just maybe like fills a container every 3 seconds, right? That replaces human behavior, but is there AI there?
Okay, so I understand where you're going. Let's say the bottles weren't organized. Let's say they were all over the place and they didn't have a machine to organize them into rows. Where an AI would come in would be like a top-down camera that says, oh, look, that's a bottle opening that doesn't have a cap, put a cap there. But for problems like those in plants, you usually want something that doesn't have AI, because not all AI are perfect. Not all programs are perfect, but coded programs are much more reliable than AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but that could be just what you describe could also just be robotics with code. Like if you know exactly how the bottle will come in at what time, you don't really need AI. It's just that, like David said, it just handles errors and it's just more efficient, but not in every case. So yeah, David, you want to take up the next question in chat?
Let me see what this is.
Oh, sorry.
How do I get started with AI? All right. So actually, one of the FAQs we have here. Where is it? How do I know? Where did I put it? So how do you get started in AI? Usually the way you get started is you think of something you like. So is there anything you particularly like identification, or let's say predicting like stocks, or generating like a text, or like making cool pictures?
Wasn't like, okay, yeah, stock market, like a big topic, David.
Okay, so with that being said, you can look at stuff at AI concepts that go into predicting stocks. So probably the first thing you'll come across is algorithmic trading, which doesn't use AI, but it has the algorithms that are used, like momentum algorithms and whatever other algorithm they have for doing it without AI. And you can add AI to that probably with like an LSTM or something that predicts for a neural network. And you can add that factor into your algorithm. And that's an AI project you could do and start with AI. But now that I answered that, I think you meant like the basics. You can look around like a YouTube videos or go to a website like Kaggle. They have courses you can do as well. That's for beginners.
Yeah. Cool. We'll move on to, so Aldo asks, and I hope that helped Wisdom. Keep asking if you have any questions about that. And in your personal opinions, how will AI impact application development in relation to, say, DevOps / deployment cycles? Interesting question.
Okay, so I believe that AI will come in a very early phase in that type of pipeline. So I think it will more affect prototyping. So you can make an AI to make a prototype website really quick, especially now that GPT-3 is coming out. There's already been web apps made by people that just create like an application from React code or something like that. You could probably do with Flutter or Android SDK as well.
Yeah, I second that too, because there was some experience about just using natural language. So, for example, English, and saying, you describe how you want your website to be. Like, oh, I want a button in the left corner that is blue, and like it'll make you it'll prototype it. And you have with Figma, they launched what's called Anima, and I think that uses, actually I don't know if that uses AI, but it's um, you don't really have to code anymore. So definitely I can see that, and I second that from what David said. That's probably where to go. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it takes over like bigger steps.
Yeah, well, AI is not at the point where it can just make a product from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near that point yet. So any more questions?
Yeah, I got you with another question. Harp says, would you say that AI is generally more math than programming, or is it the other way around? Ooh,
I would say it's more programming than math.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because you have the math already laid out, but it's how you use it in a program. Because the way you use a convolutional neural network for computer vision isn't the same as for another. Well, I forgot what else you would use CNNs for, but there's other applications to CNNs, and the application and the way you use that math of a CNN is different for each application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also, like, if you, let's say you haven't taken Pascal 2, right? You can still create like a good AI model to let's say you're identifying like what if something is a cacti, right? You don't really need to to know the math behind it, because there's already like libraries that are set up for it. And, you got sklearn and so on. So I'd say programming is more important than the math, at least if you're doing something.
At least at the beginner.
Yeah.
But if you want to be like a machine learning engineer, you gotta learn the math.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes into one of the frequently asked questions. So what is the math? And to that I say there's 3 parts. The biggest part being linear algebra, and then you have statistics, and then probably the least amount of impact is calculus, a little bit of calculus as well.
Yeah. I'll go to Geo. Geo had a question. Going back to the example of stock markets, how is a bot that takes in parameters such as the strategy used, a number of a dollar amount, quantity to buy, how much to buy to dollar cost average, etc., and buys and sells for you different than AI? So like, I guess algorithms versus AI, what's the advantages?
I think you're gonna have a more of a human-like investment or trade than a more of like an algorithmic based. Because when you make a bot for stock trading and you use more like a momentum algorithm, the bot is gonna only look at what is the momentum of this stock price and then trade off that. But with an AI, you can make it so that the bot is more general. So it can take in still the momentum, but it can look at other factors that probably the bot, most definitely the bot isn't going to take into account. And probably not even humans, to be honest.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, it can get a lot more complex, right? If you're really looking to have a very big model, because stocks are very complex. There's many factors affecting it, including how people view a certain stock, whether they're going to sell it off or not. So there are, you can even make some kind of pipeline that analyzes financial reports and like how they sound. That's something that you will not be able to do with an algorithm, at least not efficiently to the level that AI can do. And that's just one of the many ways that you could use it. So yeah, Miguel de Jesus says, what's a good simple project to get started on?
Okay, so if you haven't already done it, this is considered the hello world of machine learning. It's creating a neural network to identify handwritten numbers. And you can do this easily with either Tensorflow or Keras or scikit-learn. The MNIST data set for handwritten numbers is a very popular one. You can definitely find it on Google, but it's also in these libraries pre-downloaded.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to, oh yeah, go ahead.
So with that, you can make an AI that identifies the handwritten numbers.
Yeah. What I was going to do, because the second question, the follow-up from Miguel is he asked, is there any tutorial that you found specifically useful? And I was going to link, there's this channel, I hope that's the right link. If you click on it and it says Sentex, spelled like this, you could also just search him on YouTube. I liked his tutorials a lot. I think it was the PyTorch tutorials or TensorFlow. He does a lot of cool, like recently, what he started doing was with Cyberpunk 2070. What is it?
2077.
2077. Yes, I haven't played it, but what he did is he started looking to implement it into the game. And so he did it with GTA. He had a whole series on that. But he also has beginning tutorials with how do you work, how do you use PyTorch. And I thought that was really good. That helped me out a lot.
I mean, you can also look at Free Code Camp if you'd like.
Yeah.
They have some good videos.
Yeah, they're awesome. Okay, so the next one from Wisdom says, how did you both personally get into AI? David, you go first.
All right, I'll go first then. So I was learning Python when I first heard about AI, and I I just finished learning Python with this book, and I was like, all right, since I'm in the learning mood, let me learn AI as well. So first thing I did, I got a book. It was How to Make a Neural Network with Python from Scratch. And I basically followed the book all the way to the end, and I made my own neural network from scratch with only Python. And that taught me a lot about how these things are created, how neural network is just a bunch of matrices doing matrix multiplication, and how they get the output and how it's optimized. And then after that, I learned about TensorFlow, and I wanted to get into TensorFlow, but then I saw that it was pretty complicated. And then I took a break. Took a break from AI. It was like 3 months. And then I went into this conference and they talked about AI, and they mentioned Kaggle, which was a website that had like AI competitions. And I was like, all right, that sounds interesting. Maybe I can make a good AI and make some money, eh? So I went in there, and they had some good courses on starting AI. And I took those, got really into it, and then I made my own project. So I think my first project was the hello world of machine learning. Actually, I made a neural network to identify the handwritten numbers. And then I also did the Kaggle starting competition, which was like predict whether a passenger of the Titanic survived based on this data. I did that. Did pretty good, if I say so myself. And then I did one that was like, predict or identify whether these movie reviews are good or not. So after doing all that in Kaggle, I got a book about Keras, read it all the way through. It was very interesting. It was by the actual creator of Keras, Francois Choye. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that's how I like to pronounce it. And yeah, it's basically been chilling from then.
I think that's how you spell it, just if somebody wants to know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about how I got into AI. In the meantime, keep the questions going. Feel free to read some of the FAQs if you want to ask exactly that. That's good too. And if you have another question based on reading these, that's good too. Anything you want to ask ahead. And so how did I get into AI? I jumped really head first, and that's why if you ask me, where do I start? Where do you recommend that I start? That's why I'm a bit biased. I'll say like jump into a project. You're gonna be confused and so lost. But I don't know. For me, it felt better because you're working towards something. You can see your progress. Um, and I don't know. It's a good way to get exposed to, okay, what is the useful parts of this, and kind of branch out, right? But so I started actually being accepted on there's a program in UP that at the time was super new. It's called Discover. And I started on the team because the lead, I had no experience, but the lead, my good friend John, he thought, he saw that I had a lot of passion in my answers, that when you apply and everything, and he thought, I want him on the team. So I became part of the team, and then from there, it really, I enjoyed just learning from it and learning from people who already have done it and that I know. um, I'm still not a good programmer at all, but at the time I was even worse. Um, so I was really just branching out, starting out, and then I started, uh, slowly getting more of the hang of it, and um, yeah, that's basically how I started. But yeah, and we hope you guys start so you can have an origin story. You could be like, hey, I listened to this one workshop, and then I started listening to all the other workshops from David and Hermes, and that would be that would make me happy. What about you, David?
Oh yes, that would definitely make me happy as well. Being part of someone's origin story.
And, but yeah. So any more questions? Feel free to interrupt, ask, read some of the FAQs.
Yeah, what are your goals? Do people who go into machine learning, do you find that they go more into like academia, or are the two of you looking to kind of do 4 years and then maybe go to like the tech industry? Yeah.
Uh, I can answer that. So usually people that go into AI usually have this very broad thing that they want to achieve. So usually it's something like, oh, I want to create an AI that makes a book, or an AI that makes a song, or an AI that paints for me, or an AI that makes an anime. Who knows? But it's usually something broad like that. And when they actually get into like the actual application, they look at the math, and they probably do their 4 years in computer science and go into some AI. There's usually two paths they take. They usually go into the private sector and do a bunch of projects with AI and their specific applications, or they go into research. And it kind of depends on how much you like the math, to be honest. If you don't like the math that much, you're probably going to take the first path, which is going into the private sector and putting it to use in applications. And if you like the math a lot, you're going into research. You would probably like going into research, probably making new AIs and do incredible stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Joe asked our plans. Like, David, what's yours?
Oh,
More
my plan?
more academia, more industry?
To be honest, more industry right now.
Yeah, I feel you on that too. I think it's the same. I like academia. Currently, actually, we're doing it, David. But I think over time, academia is fun and all, but it's difficult to pay the bills. So I think it's more of a transition, at least for me. But yeah. And Miguel said that he has to leave early. He's probably gone by now, but and he said thanks for the recommendation.
And thanks for coming.
And we have another question from Wisdom. Which branch of AI should one learn first?
Okay, so you know how I mentioned that usually people come in with like a very broad goal. It depends on what broad goal you have. So if you have something like what I said, like making an anime, an AI that makes an anime, you probably want to go in computer vision. But if you want to go into something like, oh, I want to make a story, you probably want to go into natural language processing.
Oh, and here he says, let's say having an AI solve Google CAPTCHAs. Actually, so that's a complicated answer because Google CAPTCHAs, while for us we just like see either one, you click on the little square and you're good to go, or two, we you know, you orient some kind of image or you click on some images to prove that you are human. um it's a bit more complicated because captchas are some of them are like virtual machines inside your website, so like they make sure that a bot wouldn't be able to see it in the first place. So um that one is complicated. But now if you wanted to start on it, I don't know if classification, like computer vision, is the best.
It kind of depends because there's like different types of captions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's like ones for like inputting the boxes on the picture. There's others that all write down the words that you see.
Mhm.
But there's all some crazy ones that I've never seen before, but I've seen on the internet.
Yeah, there was also somebody created a little robot with like googly eyes to take a, I think it was some kind of like pen, touch screen pen, to go to the trackpad and press it physically, the little thing. It was a meme, but you could do that
Yeah.
where you have it outside of the computer looking at your screen. That's possible, and then that would be computer vision. um but yeah, Wisdom has another question. Let's say the V2 Google CAPTCHA where you need to select the images, and let's say you have the code done to extract each image from the 3x3 square. Which tools in AI would you use to analyze each image and determine if it's a bridge, for example?
You'd use probably OpenCV, Tensorflow, and Python.
So yeah, he's saying you would take each image from the 3x3 and analyze each image to determine if it's whatever they're asking. Yeah.
Yeah, but remember that when it comes to like computer vision, you need a lot of data. So if you're willing to go through like 100,000 captchas and get the pictures from each one, and they usually have different stuff you're looking for, hey, then you can do it.
But you can make like a giant model. It would be really giant, but with like thousands of classes. You have like a bridge class, a cat class, a stop sign class, and then it goes through all the 9 images and gives like predictions on how on what class it is. That could work, but good luck.
Or you can use a pre-trained model too.
Oh, true.
But like the point of the captchas sometimes is to get the labeled data for use, in a bigger model. So
Yeah.
you're kind of doing them a disservice. You're doing them dirty.
I mean, they should account for that. Okay, any more questions? Because we do have some more things, but you know, if people have questions, go right ahead. Gio?
Yeah, I'm just curious. What are salaries like? You know, you said that you are a terrible programmer, Hermes. I'm pretty sure I heavily disagree with that. I would imagine it's way harder to to learn the maths of AI and ML. So I expect that. Yeah, like I'm just curious because I haven't looked into it myself, but um, yeah, how are salaries in the industry compared to like typical CS, maybe like web development and stuff?
I think the CS salaries are a little bit higher than the ones for like a data scientist or an ML engineer. Well, maybe not an ML engineer, but definitely a data scientist.
Data scientists, yeah. But when we're talking about AI jobs, I think that they would be way higher than. Again, this is coming from a place I haven't really looked into it because it's kind of difficult. But in terms of salaries, most AI oriented jobs, when you're talking about like an ML engineer or an LP engineer or something of that sort, they require masters and PhDs in AI. So you can imagine, I mean, they pay a lot, but
Definitely above 120,000, I'd say.
yeah. And it also depends because you know, like there's so many applications of AI. There's also a bunch of startups. So yeah, you were gonna say something, Jay?
Yeah. I guess follow-up question. What is like, so maybe it's a company or just an open source project that what have you all seen in the AI space that excites you the most right now? Like what ongoing project is most exciting for you?
GPT-3, hey.
That was easy.
For that one.
So GPT-3 is basically a giant natural language processing transformer, and it also generates text. And since I'm into NLP, I'm really anticipating the public release of it, since it's not really public right now. It's only to like researchers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. With me, I'm not sure. I feel like every time I learn news about it, I feel just as excited to learn. But I think definitely some of the major ones like GPT, excuse me, 3. But I also like I'm biased, but I love work with deepfakes. Like recently, there was one of Tom Cruise. If you're not sure what a deepfake is, it's in simple terms, like image or audio or video data that's altered by an AI. So like if I want um, David's face on my body, like in a video, you can do that. And I can make David say things that he never really said. Um, and so I really enjoy that. There was recently one with Tom Cruise, but the reason it was so accurate, it really is spot on. You wouldn't know that it's not Tom Cruise saying things and doing things, is because the person that they trained it on is not too far off looking from Tom Cruise. So the results are better, but still it's getting better and better. So yeah. I know you like this question, David, from Wisdom. Let's hope Azar is not at his computer right now. Would Python be the best language to do AI in?
That was a question?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you know, it's not a question for us, but
it depends, I'd say, on the amount of data you're using. Because for big data applications, I know that Java is used because they have Hadoop and Spark that were both made in Java, but they have Python plugins. But I assume most of the already created code in most companies when it comes to big data is in Java. For smaller ones, like what we do in our workshops, Python all the way.
yeah, no, especially because I mean the resources that you have in Python are nowhere near in Java, like these things. But okay, a few more questions because we want to show these applications. I think you guys will like it. So uh, uh, Geo says, have you heard of what Zooks is up to? Z O.
Zooks.
X. Funny name. I have not. Gio, if you want to let us
Ready
know.
for listen?
Yeah.
If I'll share a quick YouTube video that you can just watch later. But yeah, it's basically a startup. They got acquired by Amazon. They're trying to build like basically a robo-taxi, self-driving. And so it basically, when you drive into a city for the first time and it kind of maps everything out, plus, the traffic signs and all that. And then all of the, associated buildings and all. And then it obviously finds people in real time around and yeah, it basically takes you from point A to point B, but point is, there's no like manual driver override or anything. It's the goal is to be actually like self-driving.
I think
Oh, wasn't there that company that was doing the self-driving Uber? What was it? It was like way
Yeah, Waymo, essentially Zooks is trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So the idea would be that you wouldn't own any of these cars. And I think that's a trend in the industry because, with LiDAR sensors and all this stuff, like each vehicle is very expensive with all the advanced sensors. So it's basically gonna be like an Uber system where you're just gonna call a Zooks, and it's gonna come, it's gonna pick you up, and then you're good, right? You won't need a car, and it'll save lives and all that.
Yeah, I'm totally down for it. I know a lot of people are scared of self-driving cars. I feel like I've said this before, but and I understand like the scare, obviously, but like when for example somebody dies from in a self-driving car crash, like there's this giant uproar, and I get that, because it is extremely tragic, and somebody died, and it's like, oh, here's why we can't trust AI. But the thing is, if AI is more efficient at avoiding deaths than human drivers, it doesn't mean that it will get rid of it completely, especially at this stage now. But I still think if it's doing better, I don't know if people should be as scared of it as they may be. You're checking out the Zeke vid?
Oh, I'm still sharing my screen.
Of course.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I mean that was it. Just I feel like if data shows that it's safer, could be really, really good. And then let's.
Can you guys hear it?
Nope. Which could be problematic for the next thing we have to show, but I'll just speed run this called, what's that part of AI called where you can manipulate face images, sayings? That's called deepfakes. There's not like a specific branch dedicated to that. I mean, that's like under computer vision, but it also has NLP if you have voice. NLP is language, natural language processing. But yeah, just deepfakes. You can check that out. There's different ways of doing it. And this was it. Go ahead.
Zeke's co-founder and CTO. So this vehicle has never driven in a city before. And today we're going to ride in it in downtown San Francisco. Aisha, are you ready?
Oui, je suis vraiment prête.
The world's first ground-up, purpose-built, autonomous electric vehicle. Autonomous driving is hard because you have to get hundreds, if not thousands of things right at the very same time. But if you do all of that, it actually feels pretty easy.
My favorite part of the vehicle design is that every time I'm in that vehicle, I actually don't think about driving. I'm being transported. It's magical.
My favorite design element is probably the wheels. I think they're pretty beautiful. One of the best things about our vehicle is that every single passenger gets the exact same experience because of the symmetry. So what's interesting is that even though we're trying a whole bunch of stuff in a dense urban environment, after about 10 or 20 seconds, it just feels like the most natural thing you've ever experienced.
The next step after today is to continue testing, both on private roads and public roads, and get to market in a dense urban environment and transport people in cities.
You already know the critics are going to come in on that one real hard.
Yeah.
The first thing they're going to say is, it's not safe, you can't trust that. And then the second thing they're going to say is, take the bus instead.
Hey, you know, but you always have critics. So I feel like it's pretty good. I like the concept. It looks good too. But
It does look really nice.
Yeah, it looks very futuristic. It's keep you on play now. Yeah, so that's a video you shared. By the way, it was kind of loud. Just letting you know.
It was loud?
Yeah, but at least on my end.
Damn.
Yeah, but don't worry. I just adjusted my volume. And yeah, I agree with you, Gio. Okay, so we're actually gonna move to our next part because I want to make sure that you guys can see this. This is pretty cool. So I know you guys last time you liked this one. The link is in the AI duet. You can click on that one. Yeah, it's like right there. And this is made by somebody. It's not Google per se, but they helped with think. Yo, can you play it on your screen? I don't know if it'll work, but you'll just see. It's really cool.
So it basically plays with you at the same time, like a duet. Let's play real quick. I don't remember any piano things, so I'm just play whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just do chords.
Oh, we can't hear it.
The blue is me, and the orange is the AI.
Yeah, let's see. It's a pity.
Let me know if this is too loud.
Pretty good.
And there it is. That's the orange. That's the AI. It's playing by itself.
So start doing like a little bit of random, like not
random. All right. Let me see.
It's pretty cool.
Yikes!
You hit that. Yeah, I mean it's an AI. It's not gonna be perfect, but actually, it starts getting better at understanding what you're going at, right, and trying to match that. Not match that, but create melodies that go well into it. And yeah, just want to show you guys that. That's pretty cool. I hope you share the same sentiment. Yes, perfect. So let's get to our next one. The next one's pretty good too. So an AI will never be able to look real, right? Like that's one of the big things. Click on that image and just click on the link. This is one of the cool ones. Okay, you see this person? They do not exist. They don't. Look, refresh it. Let's look at another person. Also does not exist. This completely, I guarantee you, this was generated. So this person doesn't exist. Refresh it again.
Look, here it is. It was imagined with a GAN, which is a generative adversarial network.
Yeah, I mean, you can click on another there, and it just, you don't have to refresh it. If you click on the bottom, another, there you go. Yeah, it just does it. Like you'll start seeing this is
actually real.
Yeah, right. Like none of these people exist. They're just
It's usually the things in the background that kind of reveal that it's fake, like this, a
Yeah.
hand merged with the hair.
some random here. But most of these are extremely well done. Like you would not be able to tell that this is a fake person. But yeah, and they have the code there if you're interested. That's called thispersondoesnotexist.com. Check it out. You can be there all day. I have.
Oh, this one's kind of screwed up.
Yeah, that one messed up. But you know, you'll have that once in a while. But for being an AI, this is really, really good. Has really good results too. But yeah, so let's go to that one just did not work. Let's get to another one. There's in the next slide, what else can an AI generate? Let's go to this chemical design.
Ooh,
Yes. Yes, it creates a 3D model of a chemistry of a molecule that doesn't exist. I took Orgo. I can't tell you what that's called. But if somebody knows, please let us
it
know.
looks like a bunch of carbon bonds, doesn't it?
Yeah, some rooms. It's like I don't know, some interesting thing. And if you keep refreshing, it creates completely new ones. And you can actually drag it and look at different sites. It's super cool. It's a cool website.
Oh my god, chemistry will never be the same. Professors can just go to this website and get some random stuff.
You're like, what am I gonna research? I need that grant. Boom. Boom, create a new molecule. But yeah, okay, let's go to our next one. And that one was pretty cool.
This artwork does not exist.
This artwork. Okay, so this one, keep refreshing because it's normally not.
This is a modern art generator.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see a lot of blank stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
That's beautiful.
Ooh.
Nice. Some are good, some are good, but a lot of them are just some colors.
Kind of weird, yeah.
Some blocks of colors.
I have seen some good ones. I will say, it's just rare. You know, art is.
This one's pretty good. If you tilt your head.
I see that. Yeah, it's difficult because you know, art is just so subjective. It's difficult to.
This looks like a zoomed in photo of a wallet.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just, you know, quick flex. I had to flex on it. But yeah, so yeah.
Yes, the pinnacle modern art.
Now that's a couple $1,000.
Oh my god!
It couldn't get better. Okay, let's see. One more and oh, not for now. Yeah. This cat.
Yeah, two more.
Cool. This one's cool. These cats do not exist, or maybe there's a similar one, but these are generated.
The species exist, but not these.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it's crazy to think about it. Like, I wouldn't be able to identify it.
This horse one is kind of stuffed though.
Scott, I mean, yeah, sometimes, but I've seen some good ones from.
Well, you can't tell me that's not stuffed right there.
Right there. Let's keep going. There's some good ones. Like,
all right, this one. Let's count the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Listen, we're on Avatar right now.
All right, this one's pretty good though.
That's pretty good.
This one, I don't know what the heck is going on here.
I don't know either, but you know,
they didn't put the same amount of effort on this horse one.
It's too niche.
Or maybe they just didn't have enough pictures. Who knows?
Sure. But okay, you can go to the next slide. Actually, could you present so it's large and we can end this 702? So what is next? And I hope you're excited for this. We don't have a date for it yet. We still have to see, but what project that you could put on your resume? David, what do you think about that? What do you have to add?
If I was someone, a regular member of the AI dev community, I would definitely not miss this. There's basically a free project that you can put on your resume.
Mhm.
So here's how it's going to work. We're going to create the base project. We're going to give it to you. It's going to be on the GitHub. You can clone it into your local computer. And you know what? You can do your own thing with it. So let's say we make a base of a computer vision model, and we make it so that you can put your own pictures and generate your own. Let's say it's a generational one, and you can generate your own pictures, like pictures you put into it. You can use your own pictures to train your model, and then put that on your resume. But we would also like to explain how the project works too, so you can replicate it on your own.
Yeah, and it's just a good way to get into AI. Hopefully, give you guys a bit of a head start, and resume booster. I'll never say no.
Definitely a resume boost.
Yeah, and last thing before we get your feedback and everything, please do consider. You see that green link? When people tell you to go green, they really mean just to join our Discord. You heard it here. Please just add this. I know you guys are already in the Discord because that's how you would find it. But the reason I put it there is that I hope that you guys can, if you have any friends, anybody, not only for just the AI dev community, we have a bunch of good communities, and we're starting to wrap up the semester because it's starting to end. And we want to make sure that for next semester, we even have more people and more people. So please do consider sharing that, even in your classes and everything, would be awesome. So yeah, I'll stop the